The biggest challenges that women are facing in the U.S. today, I think there are so many.
We really have to deal with this pervasive culture of a lack of respect for women.
It's really scary. You can definitely feel that there's been a shift. Everyone's shoulders are up, they're a little bit tighter. Everyone's just kind of a little ready to say, what's coming next.
The very fabric of our nation is at stake right now. Now is not to be silent. Silence is the enemy.
One of the biggest challenges that we're facing today is there is just so much happening. It's an avalanche of information, and it's a tremendous pushback on all the rights that we've fought for decades to win, whether that is abortion bans that are being passed in states across the country that directly challenge our legal right to access the health care that we need, whether it's sexual harassment and discrimination in the workplace, which despite the Me Too movement is still rampant and still a problem for too many women. Now New York City is here to really continue to counter that pushback that's happening.
NOW-NYC is absolutely essential in ensuring that women's voices are heard.
The ones who cannot advocate for themselves.
To push policy to be more inclusive and more equitable.
Whether that's electing women representatives in office, whether that's elevating the voices of survivors and ensuring that they're being heard in our halls of Congress, or whether it's passing legislation like the Violence Against Women Act.
To take on leadership positions and going out and campaigning for women.
Look at what's happening at the federal level. I see my rights being rolled back. I see the things that my parents fought for being rolled back. And I think a lot of women just said, hey, if I want to change things, I need a seat at the table.
My colleagues and I, we were emotional and we felt a lot of pride. NOW had taken an active role, knocking on 5,000 doors, traveling to some of the districts that nearby in the Northeast that needed help, and seeing so many women elected and so many women of color elected, I think that we did have a semblance of victory there.
These are people's lives that we are talking about. These are people who are afraid to go to work because they are picked on or spoken to in a way that is completely intolerable.
NOW does a really good job of educating on those legislative and policy changes so that we have an informed public and we have informed voters who can really take a stance on these issues that directly impact women.
Bakaria believes talking about sexual harassment is the first step to change how companies handle it.
Now the activists are trying to elevate the issue beyond the DA's scope.
Where he failed, we call on the U.S. Attorney to open an investigation into this case so that the public knows everything that can be done will be done.
And very often it's that feeling of who else is being hurt that really compels a lot of people to just put aside the shame, the silence, and what they know is coming ahead of them, which is criticism, skepticism, and a lot of blame. And we really have to move past that in our country.
So when NOW-NYC and other groups got together to protest in front of, the corporate sponsor, I had to be there. I wanted to be there because it's important. It's important for us to tell people that they have a responsibility and they have a duty of care to the people that buy their products. It really resonated with me because it was another example of Black girls waiting for a really, really, really long time for other people to recognize hurt and recognize vulnerability and recognize trauma.
When it comes to women's rights, one thing that really keeps me up at night are all these anti-abortion measures and bills that are being passed right now.
Protesters we talk with, both here in Lower Manhattan and New Jersey, say they're supporting a woman's right to choose.
This is about the fundamental right to determine the fate of our lives.
Women are going to need access to abortion. It is something that 1 in 4 women will need to access in their lifetime. And if we make it dangerous, if we make it so that people need to travel out of state, if we make it more expensive, we are going to see women die.
This is a big day for advocates, long time coming to get to what will happen today in the Senate and the Assembly will be the passage of the Reproductive Health Act, an issue that has been really part of the Women's Equality Act.
We can make the change that that we want to see. You know, these are everyday, regular people who care about the lives of women and girls, and every day work really, really hard to try to do something that pushes the ball down the road or shifts the needle in terms of how women and girls are treated and cared for and protected and elevated in our society.
So when women's rights are under attack, NOW-NYC is always right there. They always show up and they always fight back.
It's an organization that keeps on fighting and has been doing this work for years. So it's amazing and empowering.
And that's why the work that Now New York City is doing every day is so vital, because we remain a steadfast voice for women to speak up, to stand up, and to fight back so that our rights are not taken away.